Hello, loves. I have a rare evening to myself, so I'm recording in the nighttime and the light's not that great, but we're going to try to work with it. So, this is your November soul message. It's called Up and Down. And the image that I was getting was like a chevron pattern that goes up and down. And as I was just drawing it here on my notepad, I thought, oh, think Charlie Brown, the t shirt that he wears. And what comes to mind with that is the Charlie Brown and the football thing with Lucy, and she's always pulling the football away. And then he falls on his back every time. And that is so perfect because it's really kind of that energy this month. There's this question of, are we going to keep going it the way that we've always been going? Are we going to keep allowing our triggers to trip us up and take us off center and take us off focus? Because our attention and intention and where we're placing our focus is becoming more and more amplified. So the things that you speak, you bring about. The things that you imagine, you bring about. The things you're afraid of, you bring about. And this is kind of the territory. So let me back up with the chevron. So the up and down energy, what I'm seeing is a couple things. Number one is there is that sense of up and down in literal terms, like there will be ups and downs. But there are also the points at the tip, up and down. There are points there at the tip, and those are the edges that we are working on within ourselves. And those edges can be when we're down, and those edges can be when we're up, and how we behave in those moments in any given time. So let me walk through it with the triggers, because this was one of the things that was coming through is, we get triggered, and then oftentimes, and this is the whole reason that we meditate or do chanting practice or anything like that to slow ourselves down. When we get triggered, a trigger is a pinging on our system that reminds us of something yucky that we don't like or that we don't want to relive again, or it kind of like lifts the lid on an old wound and then it's flooding our system. And the important part is, what are we doing with that trigger? And oftentimes we don't make enough space between the trigger and the thing that happened, or the trigger and our reaction to the trigger. And so, in meditation practice, the whole point of that, even if nothing comes, you don't have any like profound awareness or something that comes in meditation practice, the whole point of it is that you're creating space between you and your thoughts. You're creating space between you and your actions. And so that is really kind of the focus of this month, is that we are going to get triggered. There are going to be ups and downs. And it's how can we ride that where, how do I want to say this? It's like the things in our lives that come that are difficult, they come every day. And you can set your watch by the fact that they're going to come, and you don't know what they're going to be, and you can't control what they're going to be. The only thing that you can control is how you react to it. And so the way that we soften those edges and make it more like a squiggly line, and slowly over time, like it's less and less and less, is by softening our own internal edges, how we're reacting to something. And so that's really the focus this month. It feels like, last month, October, was so challenging, even for me to bring down. Like the energy was so uncomfortable to even bring down and feel into and try to speak through, that I feel like they're giving me a break. They're giving all of us a break this month. So it feels a little bit less, and also there's these triggers, and there is really the goal here, the focus is to pull back and do something different than you did before. I'm going to write that down. That's the third thing that is going to be our homework. Doing something different. So anomaly. And what I love about that came right before I sat down and I forgot to write it down. I almost didn't record because it's so dark, and I'm like, I'll just do it tomorrow, but I would rather get it done because everything else is ready to go. And I thought, oh, but isn't this so perfect in this energy? This in itself is anomalous, if that's a word, or an anomaly, doing it differently than the way that I normally do. So let me check my notes here. Oh, there was another piece about, and this is really connected to the oil too of the month. So did I write it down? Yeah. Okay, it's about being in the now. And the thing about, so it's partly to do with the triggers, but just in general, it's so important for us more and more and more to slow things down and to try to be in the now as much as we can. And most of us are not at all. Most of us are pulling the past and pulling the future into the now moment and clogging it up and making it very difficult to be present with the thing that you're doing because you're pulling all these things away. So it's kind of like an energy healing. The way that I describe it is we all have like a circle of energy, right? We all have our auric field around us in our physical body, and you have like a certain container of space, right? Well, if you have, 85% of that is clogged up, is being held up with old traumas, old wounds, angry at this person, this situation didn't go your way, like all these things that we all carry around all the time, it's clogging up your space. And then you've only got this little 15% over here in which spirit or prana or channeling or, God or guidance or light or whatever can come through. So it's like if you're trying to get guidance and receive, and you've got this little tiny 15% over here that is available for energy to come through, then, you're kind of screwed because it's going to be a lot harder. And so what we want to be doing is kicking that stuff out. And I talked about this on October, that gunk that's stuck on the wheels of our bike spoke. Like that is what that is. It's the trauma, it's all the stuff that we haven't moved out. And so we have to just continue to clear that out. And that's what you do every time a trigger comes, and you physically sit on your hands and you close your eyes and you breathe into it and you let it move through you before you do anything about it, or you go to chanting practice. And if you want to I'm going to be doing another 40-day cycle myself of chanting. And I haven't decided exactly. I think I'm going to start November 1st. Maybe I'll start a couple days later to give people some warning that you can do it along with me. But along with that practice, I forget what day it is, but I teach something called the Go F Yourself meditation. Insight Timer didn't like that I used even F yourself, so I called it the Go Free Yourself meditation, but you can fill in the blanks. But it's really, really powerful. And chanting just in and of itself is so powerful for this because it helps to like repattern your whole system and give you space between you and the thing. Okay, let me see if there was anything else. Okay, was there something more about the taking out of being taken out of the present moment? Okay, this is one other piece. Usually what's happening in the present moment isn't all that big of a deal. And if we're just focused on the task at hand, it's actually kind of free and spacious until you bring those other things in. And that's the other piece too, is like it clogs up your enjoyment of the now moment, and then you're kind of missing it. And there was another piece there about it being free. It's kind of like what I'm seeing is like that's where freedom lives, is to be in the present moment and to actually be enjoying it and engaging with it and all of this kind of stuff. And I've been reading this incredible book called Haggitude, and she talks about this relationship that we have with the land. And I'm like, this is so weird. I've lived in the same home for 14 years and I go on walks every single day, and I'm like, why am I not noticing? I notice the trees, but I don't notice the land. I don't think about that. And so this is like the level of tuning in that we can start to do when we're in the present moment and paying attention. I feel like there was something more to do with that. Oh, there was one other piece about perspective. This is so important. The messages that we're telling ourselves with our minds are directly impacting our feelings, our emotions, our bodies, everything, and maybe causing additional triggers just by how we're looking at something. So I was thinking about, you know, this home that I've lived in, and you know, just an example for myself is, oh, you know, I wish I had a bigger home. Like, oh, sometimes I get, you know, frustrated. Oh, it's too small and I wish I had it bigger. Until the other day I realized, oh, unless I lived in New York or unless I lived in San Francisco, this place would be a mansion. So it is so about perspective and the stories that we place on top of things. So if you're like, I should be at a certain place, or I should be somewhere different, or I should be this or that, that's the reality that you create for yourself. And then it's like, well, I should be here and I'm not. And so then all of a sudden, do you see how now you're not in the moment anymore, and you're thinking about either the past or the future, and like, well, I should be here already, or I should have been here by now. And you're bringing that all into the present moment, and it's jamming up your signal on a literal way, in a literal way. So what we tell it ourselves is so powerful. And here is the other piece. This is one of the other messages of the chevron. You're not doing it wrong. It is supposed to go up and down. Like, life is challenging. Living in the 3D, living here on Earth, it is challenging. We face difficulties every day. And the fact that it goes up and down, the fact that you can't make yourself steady all the time, is not something that you're doing wrong, okay? You're not doing it wrong. Okay, a couple of the recommendations for this month. One is daily check-in practice. So one of the ones that I've been doing lately that I just love is daily journaling. And I do channel writing. So I do channel writing and I talk to my guides. So I do that with my cup of coffee. It's amazing. I love it. Great. It's an awesome way to start the day. So that's something. But if that's not it for you, maybe it's journal writing, maybe it's chanting, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's yoga, whatever it is, some kind of daily practice. But it's important that it isn't like daily practice just washing the dishes. It's a daily practice that you're checking in with yourself. You're tuning in with yourself. How am I doing? How is my physical body doing? How do I feel? You know, where are my thoughts? It's like what you're wanting to do is kind of take inventory of where you are and then kind of tune in, and wherever it feels off, you want to kind of recalibrate and look and do something different. The second thing that came in was learning something new. And the reason for that is because learning something new keeps you focused on what you're doing, and it makes it's kind of like training for that triggering and training for staying in the now. When you're focused on something, when I'm taking a class, like I'm so invested in the class that I'm taking, I'm so invested in learning it, that it tends to help me tune out the BS that's going on around because I'm focused on what I'm doing. So that was the second thing. And then the third thing was, you know, do something different, like bring in anomaly, shift things up, change it up, do it, make it different, because it kind of disrupts the algorithm of the day-to-day, you know, kind of BS and boring nonsense that we get into. Okay, I'm going to do the card first, and then I'll talk about the oil at the end. So for people that don't, because the oil is a little bit longer explanation this month. And so for folks that aren't going to do that, you can end the video when I start talking about the oils. Okay. Well, those just fell out and we got two. And here's my hope, is that I can read the description in the dark. Okay. Oh, you can't make this shit up. I literally put this as one of the planetary oils for this month, Venus, because the last two moon cycles, the last two eclipses, we've had the full moon lunar eclipse just a couple days ago in Taurus, ruled by Venus. And then 2 weeks prior, we had the new moon in Libra as a solar eclipse, and that is also ruled by Libra. And then we also got the Against Nature card, which I know that we've gotten before. So I'm going to read Venus first, and then I'll read the other one. Okay, Venus, pleasure, eros, beauty. With the arrival of Venus, the senses open as if for the first time. It is the planet of pleasure, of touch, of sensual delights. Venus is often depicted as romance or eroticism between people, but it can also be experienced as an all-out love affair with Mother Nature herself. I mean, did I not just talk about going on a walk and noticing the land that you live upon? Like, this is what it's calling me to talk a little bit more about that. Notice when you go out for a walk, notice not just the trees, but look in a larger, try to take in more of the space and imagine that it was not paved. And imagine that you're walking on a big piece of property and notice that the land has a vibration and you are relating to the vibration of that land, of wherever you live. And then start tuning into, well, what is the vibration of the land? What is the vibration of where I live? And is it congruent with who I am? And is it even the right place for me? So just kind of start tuning into that. Okay, Aphrodite emerging from the ocean is a classic example of Venus imagery, as is Cupid with his bow. No matter how old or jaded you are, when this card appears, it's a sign that attraction is at an all-time high. Okay, so I would pause and say the attraction is also with your thoughts and the reality that comes towards you because you magnify whatever it is that you're thinking about. The laboratory is alight with love. You may be in love with the work, with the materials, with another person, or with the world itself. Seeing beauty in small moments is a sign. Venus is in balance, or is a sign that Venus is in balance. An obligatory reminder that pleasure and pain are usually found intertwined. Okay, you can't make this shit up. That's the up and down of the chevron, pleasure and pain. And they live in the same place, right? And there's a great quote. It's on my website. It is, I think it's on my About page. Pain and joy live in the same chamber of the heart. When you squash the pain, you limit the joy. Okay, so they are supposed to sit together. And then the other thing is seeing the beauty in small moments. This is the other thing about where you place your attention on, because, you know, what I keep hearing over and over and over again, and I really want some more explanation about how you manifest this in the physical, but what I keep hearing is that this life experience is not meant to be hard, but we make it hard by getting in our own way, by creating all these bullshit stories about people and things and filling in the blanks with assumptions when we have no idea why someone did something or this, that, or the other thing. And then we make assumptions and then we're off to the races. And this kind of goes back to the trigger thing. But we have this thing with the triggers where when we don't have that stopgap and we don't notice that the trigger is ours, we vomit that on someone else and we make it about them. And the trigger is ours and we have to hold that. To go deeper, recall the last piece of art that moved you and revisit it now, and I know exactly which one mine is. To ponder the language of embrace. I really wish that I could see this better, but I'm not even going to read that because it's so tiny I can't see it. Okay, we're going to go on to Against Nature. I know that we've gotten this one before, but I don't remember it. Willfulness to force or control. Oh my God, this is right in the land of what I'm talking about, because so often the whole reason that we're freaking out and having the triggers that we're having, or the way that we let ourselves be taken, like being yanked by the nose by our triggers, is because we want something to be different, because we want to control it, we want to manipulate it, we want it to be different, but all the freaking out doesn't make it different. So you have to just relax into it and let it be what it is. Okay. On some level, we all know when we're going against nature. We recognize it in feelings of impatience and agitation that arise when trying to force certain outcomes. You can't make this shit up. The Contra Naturam card arrives to remind the alchemist they cannot control the uncontrollable. Nature has its way, enveloping us in a wild narrative that we can collaborate in, but not dictate. No matter our efforts to manage every aspect of our lives, the mess ensues. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Spring is soggy. The lotus requires mud. People do what they do. This card heeds a warning not to fight the flow of Mother Nature or of destiny. Once we loosen the grip of what we think life should look like, a whole new realm of possibility awakens. Now is the time to be radically open to what nature has in store for you. I mean, I can't even stand it. To go deeper, watch the Talking Heads music video, Nothing But Flowers. To ponder what we resist persists. I mean, that's literally it. It's like the stories that we tell ourselves about something become more true than the thing itself. And it's the same thing. I mentioned this in the blog. The fear that we have about something, in my experience, is always worse than the thing itself. And that hogs up so much of our now space when we're pulling all that anxiety and worry about what might happen, or we're worried about a future thing that hasn't even happened. And we're just jamming everything up instead of just being in the flow and letting it go. Okay, here's the oil of the month. And I'm so sad that I actually don't have this one. Spirit used to do this a lot when I very first started pairing oils with the soul messages, and they would be oils that I don't have. But lately they have not been, and I've been so grateful because it's so wonderful to have the oil during the month, and just I kind of keep it on my desk and diffuse it in my office and everything, and just kind of keep it as a reminder to stay in tune with this energy. But this time I don't have this oil, and I'm so sad. And it's kind of expensive, so I'm going to teach you a hack. So the oil is present tense, and it is $100 bottle. But, and also, what's amazing is present tense is in the feelings kit. And there are 6 oils in the feelings kit, and I put it in, I put it in the blog. So if you want to go check that out, you can see, because I forgot what they all are. I think it's, well, not present tense, it's present time. It's present time, harmony, valor, inner child, and forgiveness, and one other, release. Okay, so the kit is $200, but to buy each one of those individually would be like, I did the math, I think it was $365. So it's a really good deal to get the kit if you want any of those oils, and everyone in the world needs valor, courage, confidence, strength. It's the best oil of all time. Besides maybe Stress Away. Those are my 2 favorites. So you're going to want to look into this, but there are 3 oils in present time. So if you don't have present time, or you don't want to buy the kit, and incidentally, if you're a Loyalty Rewards member, you can get that kit with points. So just put that in your back pocket. So you can get it for free. But there are 3 oils in present time. Okay. Neroli, black spruce, and ylang ylang. So let me explain. You could hack, neroli is also very expensive. I think it's also a $100 bottle on its own. And neroli is the blossoms on the orange tree. So you could hack it with orange, black spruce, and ylang ylang, but know that orange holds a different energetic component or energy than neroli. Orange is about abundance, and neroli is, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget, shared purpose and partnership. So they are different, but, and also, it's a little bit of a hack. And then neroli is also in No, it's not abundance. Neroli is in acceptance. So you could, if you have acceptance, you could also hack it with using acceptance and then adding black spruce and ylang ylang unless they're already in there. So here are the three components. Neroli, I already said, is shared purpose and partnership. Black spruce is stability, and ylang ylang is the inner child. And so what this oil is doing, it almost has that feeling of, like, I talk about bergamot as being the dinner bell that calls all the scattered parts back home. But with this one, with this combination, you have shared purpose and partnership. So this is like your relationship to the divine. Then you have stability. So you're in the earth, but not of the earth. In the world, but not of the world. But you are anchored in it. And then the ylang ylang is holding the heart and the tenderness of the inner child. So it's a beautiful combination. I want to get this oil, but I'm definitely going to wait until I have enough points to get the kit, because I definitely want that whole kit. Or maybe it'll be my order for this month. I don't know. But anyway, I've got too many things that I'm out of. Probably not. But so that's the oil. And I just think it's so perfect. And I love how Spirit works to bring these oils to my attention and to my awareness when I don't even have them. Like, it's one thing when I'm writing something and I can feel the energy that wants to come through, and it's an oil that I've smelled and I'm familiar with. But this one I'm not, but I had heard of it. So anyways, beautiful, beautiful opportunity to work with that. And then the events for this month. So we have Intuitive Collages on November 17. And then because of the holidays and even just where the moon cycles are landing right now, we just have Intuitive Collage in November, and then Women's Circle is December 1st. So technically in December, but it follows the moon cycles. We usually do Intuitive Collage around the new moon, and we do Women's Circle around the full moon, and we just had Women's Circle. So those are the dates for the month, and I think that's it. I feel like I missed something out, but in the email, in the newsletter, I mentioned something about the Venus roller, and now even more so because we got the Venus card. I mean, it's absurd. I can't, I'm not even creative enough to make this shit up and against nature. So yeah, Venus, and then I'd probably go root chakra as the other one to keep yourself anchored and rooted while you're here. And those, my apothecary blends are $26. So if you don't want to go the way of Young Living or doing, getting an account or doing your own oils, you can always get some of my apothecary oils out of the shop on my website. I have a planetary series and a chakra series. So those are there for you. And I think that's it. It feels like a really simple month and kind of simpler energy than we've had. I feel like we're getting a little bit of a breath and a little bit of a reprieve, and also watch those edges, like they're going to come. And it really is just set your watch by it. Like every day, you know that stuff is going to come across your path that is not going to be what you want, or it's going to jar you out of the thing that you were doing or whatever, but you're not doing anything wrong. And, it's meant to smooth our edges and make us a little bit more flexible and appreciative and grateful, and bringing all those energies in. And of course, I'm always here for private sessions, intuitive healing sessions, spirit readings. And of course, come to one of the group things, Women's Circle. And then new and full moon are always pre-recorded, and they show up in the shop a couple days before the moon cycle. And you can do any one of those first time for free with the code NEWBIE, NEWBIE, all caps. So do one of those, see how powerful it is. It's about a half an hour of me setting up the energy for the current moment, for the moon cycle. And then the second half of it is usually some kind of group healing. So that's what it is. All right. Love you. Namaste. Take care.